America's #1 professional wrestling rant show, Wrestle Rant HD. I'm your host, Angelo Demetrius. And well, this wasn't the best week in professional wrestling, but guess what? We're going to make it interesting anyway. Because that's what we do here on Wrestle Rant. Inform and entertain. You came for information, and I know you came for some entertainment. And that's what we're going to give you. Now, we're going to cut right to the chase and start talking about the week in WWE. Look, we're not going to beat around the bush about this. There's no hiding it. It was pretty boring this week. World Wrestling Entertainment really didn't have that much to dish out. I mean, the stories were just really slow. And, well, it's a build-up week. Anytime you have a build-up week in professional wrestling, well, nowadays anyway, it sucks. No getting around that. Completely no getting around it. It absolutely stinks. Fans, in yesteryear, I'm reminded of the days when, just before a pay-per-view, it didn't stink so bad. I mean, come on. Let's face it. Nowadays, the week before a pay-per-view with WWE, it stinks. Whether you watch on TV or actually go to the show, you get a pretty stinky show. I'm sorry about that, fans. That's the way it is in professional wrestling nowadays. They don't have much to the story at the end of the week or in the week before the pay-per-view. They should. They always do with Hogan or Savage. Back in the 80s and the 90s, face it, it was the golden era. Weeks before, even a week before the pay-per-view, you got a dynamic show. In the week before the pay-per-view, nowadays, they usually spend all their time trying to get you to spend your money. But WWE, you can't do that if the show is just plain boring. Come on, if you're going to sell me a pay-per-view, I'm cool with that. But give me something around it. I mean, who goes to a restaurant and orders a plate of ribs and says, you know, by the way, make sure there's no meat on the bones. Send them to me bare. You order ribs so that you can have meat on the bone to chew off of it. WWE, you are giving me and the rest of the fans nothing to chew off of. We're bored to death the week before a pay-per-view. You're supposed to have us on the edge of our seat with our fingers on the phone button, ready to call our local cable operator or our satellite provider. Remember those days, WWE? Remember that you used to tell us to make those all-important phone calls? Seems nowadays that phone call isn't so all-important anymore, WWE. Now, what about Triple H being thrown out of Monday Night Raw by Mexican immigration because he's not Mexican? Because apparently something didn't go through with the paperwork, making Triple H legally an illegal immigrant. Wow. Talk about irony. Well, all I have to say about that is this. There could be a future rivalry between Del Rio and Triple H. Maybe. I don't know. WWE is hard to predict these days. But I can say this. That would be an interesting rivalry. I do know this. Something is going to happen between Laurinaitis and Triple H. Laurinaitis is not the end-all to end-all when it comes to general managers on Raw. We've seen that before. We've seen some tyrant general managers. We've seen Eric Bischoff. We've seen Vicky Guerrero. For a time or two there, Stephanie McMahon was that regime-like general manager. But I can tell you this, fans, Triple H is not going to be shut up just because he was thrown out of a country because he's not Latino. I mean, after all, it's all about the game and how you play it. Right? Right. And that's why we're going to watch Triple H. some of us anyway, at Vengeance Tag Team with CM Punk to take on R-Truth and The Miz. Now let me tell you this, I believe that match is going to be fantastic. I also believe that match is going to be a build-up to something else coming up at the Survivor Series. I'll keep my lips zipped on that for now. But I will tell you this, things could get off to a rocky start. Well, this is wrestlerant HD, America's #1 professional wrestling rant show. You had better stay right there for wrestlerant. And rain. I am a big man, and a big man am I. You can take away all of my character accents. You can take away my big muscles, but you can never take away my steroids. Welcome back to wrestlerant HD, America's #1 professional wrestling rant show. Fans, we are just one day away from Vengeance. Now, many of you may choose to order Vengeance on pay-per-view. If you're me, you go to a local hotspot and watch it. I'm not saying don't order Vengeance on pay-per-view. All I'm saying is, think about it. Do you want to order this one right now that's going to be just okay? Or do you want to wait until the Survivor Series? The big one. The one that's going to explode. The one that you'll probably never forget about. The one that'll have you hanging on the edge of your seat waiting for WrestleMania. Oh, we're getting there, fans. We're getting there. But before we get there, we're going to talk about what's going to happen at Vengeance between John Cena and Alberto Del Rio, the Mexican aristocrat. It will be a last man standing match. Now, you know my feelings on this. You know I'm not a big John Cena fan. I don't think that belt should end up around John Cena's waist again. But Alberto, if you don't get a silver tongue and fast on that microphone, that belt could end up around John Cena's waist again. WWE, I know you want John Cena to carry the title to WrestleMania. I'm okay with that. But we've got to make it a believable comeback for John Cena to go to WrestleMania and defend his title against the People's Champion, The Rock. Now, Alberto Del Rio has a chance to prove himself at Vengeance in this last man standing match. Will he? Could he? Might he do it? Might the WWE like Alberto Del Rio more than CM Punk, as I read in one article this week in a certain magazine that I won't mention? I will tell you this, that Alberto Del Rio has all the right stuff. No, not to be an astronaut, but to be a professional wrestler. Mouth moves equals professional wrestling, and that's what Alberto Del Rio has. How about what happened with the Big Show, Mark Henry, and Alberto Del Rio on Friday Night SmackDown? I loved it. Oh, Mark Henry running into that ring, getting absolutely leveled by the Big Show. And how about Alberto Del Rio getting leveled by the Big Show? Was that not the greatest thing you ever seen? The great buildup of a babyface like the Big Show is what we need to see. That's what you're supposed to see before a pay-per-view. Give us some heat, and then let us eat the meat. That is what professional wrestling is all about. The build-up, people. If you don't know how to give us a build-up, you won't sell us. Pay-per-views won't be sold. T-shirts won't be sold. I mean, come on. You're not going to tell this guy it's not all about the merchandising. Because I know that it is. Look, we may not buy all your movies, WWE. But if you want us to tune in to your programming, then you're going to really keep us on the edge of our seat. You're going to give us something to reach out for and say, oh, so close. We don't have many of those moments anymore in professional wrestling. WWE, show us that you still got tricks up your sleeve that we haven't seen. We need to see that week after week after week. Well, fans, that's it. All I have to say before I end the show is this. I personally hope that Mark Henry keeps the World Heavyweight Championship. If he doesn't, I can't think of anybody better that it should go to than the Big Show. I love his face persona. I love the fact that the Big Show is one of the most energetic big men in all of sports entertainment. Certainly more energetic than the great Slow Lee. Kali. So fans, look forward to that pay-per-view. If you watch it, great. If you don't, hey, no sweat off my back. It's WWE's money. All right, that's it for this edition of WrestleRant HD. I'm your host, Angelo Demetrius, saying you can see WrestleRant HD each and every week right here on YouTube.com. Click Wrestle.com. And here lately, I'm finding out a whole lot of other video websites. I can't mention them all, but I can say this. I look forward to seeing you right back here next week on WrestleRant HD.